Hi there, I'm Holly McDowell with the Costa Mesa Pod, where we discuss all things concerning the lifestyle, businesses, and activities that make our area such a great place to live. I've been working in the real estate industry here and just love everything that our community has to offer, including our fire department. So today we are so lucky to have Fred McDowell, fire captain, here with us to share more about the people that are keeping Costa Mesa safe. Fred, thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes. So, okay, I want to start off with getting to know you a little bit. When did you decide you wanted to be a fireman?
Well, that's a question that kind of describes a process. So it wasn't just a one-time thing. I think the earliest age I can remember was watching that TV series Emergency with Johnny and Roy that came out and was basically situated in Southern California. And California at that time was at the forefront of emergency medical services. So that was very exciting. I remember getting my plastic helmet and pretending in the backyard with my fire engines and things like that, my toys. But probably around third grade, I got involved in music, and that gave me some success. It gave me an identity and a way to contribute and be a part of an organization. So as I grew and I got towards the end of high school and college, that kind of became my reality, was just music. Maybe that's the reason I'm here. And it wasn't until I had a chance to tour with a professional band. I played in a of all things that traveled the country. So we were in probably 30 different states, and I was the youngest and least accomplished musician in the whole group. And I started to see, like, this is what the life could be like. And I thought, being away from home, maybe that's not what I'm meant to do. And so at the same exact time, I did a ride-along with the Santa Ana Fire Department with a neighbor. And from the very first moment that we had a call and I sat on the fire truck and the engine next to me came to life and the door opened and the sunlight streamed into the station and I saw those red lights dancing on the brick walls. And then this giant vehicle I was on started to move, and at the siren, I felt like I was born again. I felt like I had made an amazing discovery, and I was super excited to see more about it.
Okay, so let's backtrack to the band for a second. So I know you mentioned you're in a band. What do you play?
So I'm a trumpet player. I began when I was in third grade, as I mentioned.
Okay, and then you were in a Civil War traveling band.
Yes.
Which is a very unique niche, but I guess it kind of comes full circle because you're really into history too.
Yes, yeah. My dad was a World War II veteran, so I grew up just hearing his stories. And I think history is really a collection of stories. We categorize it as a title, but it's a collection of people and organization and their stories. And I've always found that very compelling. Let's see, what was the question again?
No, you're answering it perfectly.
Okay.
So you were in the band, you played the trumpet, you were into history. Are you from Southern California?
Sure, good question. So I was actually born in Santa Ana, and I was an only child. So I was adopted by my parents. They were quite a bit older. So my father was born in 1927 and my mother in 1934. So he was 42 when I was adopted.
Okay.
So we lived in a very modest blue collar home. He was a truck driver and she was in a wheelchair, and she volunteered at the school. And so she was a volunteer school librarian. And so I remember having to wait for her to be done every day after school. And so there was nothing to do but read books. And so I fell in love with reading and stories and helped my vocabulary and all those things that reading does for you.
Well, and I think too, this will come back full circle to the love of history and like you said, it's a collection of stories, and to do what you do, some of what you do as well, you have to be a good storyteller. So we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk a little bit about that ride-along, that magical ride-along. So why did you decide to do that? Did somebody drag you along? Did they advertise it? How did that happen?
So going back to before I was playing with the Civil War band, I had received a bachelor's degree in a double major from Cal State Fullerton. So I was a performance major and a music education major. And so I was looking at working in that field. At the time, I think I was playing in one of the bands at Disneyland.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I worked at Disneyland, Knott's, all these different places.
Yeah.
And so my next door neighbor, who was 50 years older than me, was a Marine that fought on the island of Guadalcanal, if you know anything about that horrific campaign that we fought. And he was very proud of his country and of his service. And well, he passed away. So I knew he was very proud. And I did not want to have a tape recording of taps to be played at his funeral. So I took the day off work and I went there, and it was my honor to play for him the last time. And that's where I renewed the relationship with his son, and then we did the ride along.
Oh.
So to be honest, I was searching for some new career at the time. I'd already done a ride along with the police department, and I wasn't sure what path to take.
Yeah.
So I walked into the fire station thinking, well, if nothing else, I might see something interesting that I can tell my friends about at some party, right?
Yeah.
No idea that I could really still do this at the ripe old age of 25 years old. And I walked in the station and I saw everything they do. And some crusty old firefighter took me into his office and said, okay, so you're here to be a firefighter, right? And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And he says, here's what you have to do. And he laid out the whole career path for me, the college route, what I had to do to get in shape. And I just sat there and listened. And I said, yes, sir, that's what I'll do.
Oh my gosh.
So the amazing part is, after all of this took place, I went home to my wife. I had just been married.
Yeah.
And I told her, you know, that job that I could have in just a couple months that would get us out of this apartment and get us out of that car that's being, that makes a lot of noise when we're down the street, a real career. She says, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to school, start all over again, and try this new career. And my wife, the amazing woman she is, says, do it. Go for it.
Oh.
Just do it with the same intensity that you've always done towards music.
Oh my God. That's a very supportive spouse.
Yes.
And that's amazing. And also, it could have gone so differently. I love how you said at the beginning of this interview that music may have led you kind of into the firefighting, and it did because of all those connections. So, well, let's fast forward a little bit. So you've been with the Costa Mesa Fire Department, fire captain. How long have you been with the Costa Mesa Fire Department?
Well, I actually started off right here in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
So I was an intern on the ambulance department, I guess, with the fire department there. Before that, I was in Fountain Valley as an intern in the Fire Prevention Bureau.
Okay.
And so those two stepping stones helped me learn more and more. And then once again, it was the trumpet that got me into the fire service. I was taking the classes at Santa Ana College in order to be qualified for the fire academy. And there was a tragic accident where some firefighter was killed, and I offered to play taps for him.
Oh.
So the instructor I just happened to be sitting in, he was a member of the Costa Mesa Fire Department Honor Guard. The shirt that I'm wearing right now is from the Honor Guard. And he said, sure, we'd love to have you, not knowing if I was as good as I said I was or not. They took a chance on me, and then I went and I did the funeral. And a couple of days later, he comes back and he was excited. He says, hey, I have a very exciting offer for you. I've checked with our administration, and they would be interested if you wanted to be a volunteer member of the Honor Guard while you're preparing to go to the Fire Academy. And that was in August of 1995, so 30 years ago. So I've been a member of Costa Mesa's family for 30 years. And then after I finished the Fire Academy, I was hired in April of 1998, just about 27 years ago.
That's amazing.
28 years ago, yeah. So.
Yeah, and I hear something big is coming up for you now.
Yes, our 100th anniversary. So we've worked very hard to recognize the department and the accomplishments not only of the current members of the department, but the past members of the department. And hopefully the excitement and the energy we're building will affect the future members of the department. So we're super excited about that.
So how many fire department buildings are there in Costa Mesa?
So we have 6 stations, and they're spread out just like every other city. They all have their own character. They have their own unique character and characters that work in them.
But I like the way they designed the one over by the Mesa Verde Library.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's a pretty one.
Yeah, that's our new headquarters building.
Okay, cool. Yes, I actually took my son last year to the I don't know what you call it, like a family day.
Okay, open house.
Yes, the open house. We had so much fun across from Estancia.
All right.
It was amazing. It was either last October or the October before, but we were all about the hot dogs and the demonstrations.
Who doesn't love that? Yeah, that's great. Well, it's going to be very exciting because we're hopeful that this October or November, that building will be open again. So we just tore down a 50-year-old training tower in the backyard, and we built a brand new state-of-the-art one. Nice. And it's about 90% done, and we're hopeful that we can put the finishing touches on it, and then you'll get to see it again very soon. Nice. Yes, I remember they were like getting ready to do some work and everything. So that's really fun. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the Costa Mesa Fire Department, because you are a history buff. You
you have a lot of interest in it. I know you just did a lecture with the Historical Society. So what are some of the milestones or highlights that you want to touch upon?
Well, there's a lot of stories. I guess in the end, it was a little bit of a controversy that we were 100. So
Okay.
let's go back with that. I've had a couple of people ask me about that. So initially, what we know as Costa Mesa now was 3 little villages that were in the area.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 1920 that that area even got a name. Before that, it was called Harper. And the local inhabitants saw that the community was growing. It was in a geographically important place right there on Newport Boulevard. And so greater LA County, Orange County residents would drive down that boulevard to go to the beach and back and forth. So commercial business began to take off, stores, roadside stands, gas stations, things of that nature. And the community was growing. But there was one problem, is that their mail was getting sent to the wrong place. There was a community called Harpersville in what is today Garden Grove.
Oh,
And the
no.
people were not getting their packages. And so they complained, and someone suggested, why don't we just rename the town, and it'll be easier for the mail service to find us.
I've never heard that before. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So they had a contest, and a young school teacher by the name of Alice Plummer came up with the idea of Costa Mesa, which means coastal tableland in Spanish. She won the grand total of $25 for winning the title. So the name was changed, and even though it was called Costa Mesa, it wasn't a city yet. It was an unincorporated area of Orange County. So the fire department comes in because they were growing and growing, and there was no fire department. Back in the day, if you had a fire, you couldn't ask Huntington Beach or Newport Beach or Santa Ana Fire to come help you because you weren't paying tax dollars. So the only recourse you had was to use the county fire department, which was way up in the city of Orange, 12 miles away.
Yeah, a little too far if there's something necessary.
You can imagine that a fire's not going to wait for the fire truck to arrive from 12 miles away down dirt roads with no signals and things like that. So in 1925, some of the locals, they raised some money with the Costa Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and they bought a used, very inadequate fire truck. We'll call it that. More about that later.
Well, I have an image of it, right?
Okay.
So I will make sure I will be throwing this into some of the social media posts and everything because it's cool.
Yeah, that fire truck has a unique story. And so they began the Costa Mesa Fire Department in 1925. And so when the city came and took over and founded, it's an actual city in 1953, took over the fire department, which was volunteer, and they hired 6 paid career firefighters in 1956. And
so that's the controversy.
That's the controversy is that many people thought, oh, the fire department was started in 1956. And no, we, just like other agencies around here, we harken back to the volunteer days because those men and women, they were women, not firefighters, but they were women support staff that answered essentially the 911 dispatch calls. And they were ordinary people. They were pharmacists, they were grocers, they were mechanics.
Yeah.
And they came together to serve their community in a very selfless and very dangerous way.
Yeah.
And just we think that's worth recognizing.
I absolutely agree wholeheartedly. I'm from New Jersey. I think we talked about that because you're moving to Pennsylvania. And the small town that I'm from, like our fire department was just it's still, I think, all volunteer. So obviously we would still honor the people that put in their time and were ready to take a call at 2 a.m. and, all of those dangerous things that you talked about. So that's pretty interesting though. I never knew all of that.
Okay.
Very cool. So what else is significant that you would say in as far as like the history of the fire department here?
Well, the fire engine we talked about, I'm sure you're going to share that photo.
Yes.
So for a long time, that was a challenge to me, that photo, because it was once again widely said that we were founded in 1956. And I found that photo, and it's the original version of that photo is dated 1929. So that date flew in the face of the popular concept. So, and the little fire engine, if you look closely, it says Costa Mesa, and it says they do so much work that's unrecognized, and they really maintain, not, obviously the fire department is an interest of mine, but all aspects of the community, they keep their finger on the pulse of that, from where we come from the early rancho days of the Spanish and the indigenous people that lived in the area on up to the early, and then the growth period after World War II and the 70s and 80s and what we are today, this kind of leading community with a emphasis on fine arts. It's just an amazing thing. I imagine it would amaze the people from 100 years ago what the city has become since they first started it. It's neat to be a part of the Costa Mesa Historical Society. They guided me the whole way. The way I basically started like a sleuth, kind of like a detective. That's the approach I took, is like, how can I prove to my boss, the fire chief, that yes, we were in fact founded in 1925. And so it kind of became that the journey was just as much rewarding and fun as the destination. The Historical Society has all of the newspapers. So I would go over there for hours and I would just turn pages and scan for the 4 letters FIRE, and then just go, year by year by decade. And then I found primary sources and other books. We had a newspaper article and we reached out to former volunteers, and I was lucky enough to have 2 that called up, and I got to interview them before they passed away. It was fascinating learning from the people that actually did it. So it's just been an exciting journey. I didn't know where it was going to take me when I first started, but it's been a very rewarding experience.
How did your boss feel when you found out that it was probably really 1929?
I think he was very excited because that meant that we could have cake.
Because of the 100th year.
Yeah. Who doesn't like cake,
Let
right?
them eat cake. I like that.
Yeah. So
who were some of the people that you ended up connecting with? You said you were connected with some before they passed.
Well, so what was his name? Oh, you had to ask me a technical name.
I need a technical name, but I mean, how long ago were they with the department?
Come to me here. There was a young man who was 19 and he was a pharmacist, and his drugstore he worked for was across the street from the fire station. And he lived to be in his late 90s. And so he came over and he described what it was like. And he says because of the proximity, every time the bell rang, he got to be one of the first. And apparently the first 3 firemen, and they were firemen back then, they got paid $1.50, and everybody else worked for free.
Oh,
so
okay. So he was lucky.
His name was Everett Brace.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And well, obviously technology has come a far way from that, little old fire truck. So what are some of the things that the fire department is embracing now to help keep our community safe? And what do you see?
Well, that's a great question. So that really causes us to switch gears. I would say a lot of the tools that I've seen just in the short 30 years I've been in with the fire service, they're amazing. So as you might know, much of what we do now is rescue, is emergency medical services. So just something as simple as CPR. I don't know, have you been CPR certified in your professional career?
Yeah, but remind me, does it expire, or I've taken classes, like I had to take one when I had my kids and stuff. But I mean, I'm probably due for a recheck. It
doesn't expire, but lots of times studies will refine what we've taught. And they will change, like, let's say, the amount of compressions versus breaths or other things you should do. They find that maybe a certain technique saves lives a little bit better. So that's the reason that we would recommend to brush up and get the renewal. But it doesn't expire.
I'm sure the one I spent a lot of time focusing on was for newborns at the time. So I know my kids are not. So it would be better. I would be better served to be able to help more people if I brushed up a little.
Well, it's good for all your listeners, I'd say.
Yes, everybody, listen up.
So are we still talking about other folks that I've come into contact with that along the journey, or?
Yeah, we can talk about other folks that you've.
You're right. I'm sorry. We can talk technology. That's right.
Yeah, but we can circle back. So
that's not important. Let's stick with the technology. Yeah.
The fire department actually has a really good Instagram, and I actually really like seeing when they show more of what they do, because it's not all smoke and fires. It's a lot more.
Right. So I thought of some other things. Yeah. So as far as the technology and the tools. So we were talking about CPR. And so we have a machine called the Auto Pulse now. And those that have ever been to the beach and have a boogie board. So think of it as a boogie board with a brain and straps that contract. Okay. And so if somebody is in need of chest compressions, we can put them on this thing, put the strap around their chest, push a button, and it will do the CPR for us. Wow. And so as you know, doing CPR for an extended amount of time can be difficult. You get tired. And if you're taking a patient in a difficult place, maybe in an elevator or up and down stairs or something like that. So if we have a machine that can do that for us, that's helped us save a lot of lives. Just the documentation that we use. So some people who call 911 for medical emergencies, we see every now and then because they have chronic health problems. And so we now, what a coincidence, we have iPads. So these remember each patient, they remember your medical history, your allergies, the medicines you take, and it remembers the last time we were out there. So it's such a time saver. We don't have to ask the same old questions.
Yeah.
When maybe we just saw this person, a couple days earlier. So that's one thing. We have cameras now that see through smoke.
Oh.
They're called thermal imaging cameras.
It's going to be helpful.
When we go in, unlike TV or movies, when you see a fire depicted, you might see a movie where you see the flames in the background and the characters and the story are interacting with each other, and they have to maybe escape the burning building, and they run out and everything's okay. That's not the fire that we know. In a real fire, it's black, it's hot, you're in a toxic environment, and all this happens very quickly. So it's not like the way TV or film depicts it. So having these cameras where we can actually go in and rapidly find, the bedroom where the child is and locate them if they're hiding under a bed or something like that, that's a game changer. So that's some of the things that I've seen in our career. A lot of battery powered devices, like you might have heard of the jaws of life.
Yeah.
Where we use, if there's a car crash and we can't open a door, now they're powered by batteries. Oh. And so it's a lot quieter than the old gasoline motor powered device we used to have. So those are just a few things that I've seen.
Come a long way in 100 years, for sure. When I was younger, now this is a while ago, but they would bring like a trailer to our school, and they would fill it with like some sort of a fake smoke for the kids to get down and practice crawling out. Did they do that?
Well, we have like a non-toxic smoke, kind of like what you would see at Halloween now.
Yeah.
We have a trailer. What we use is balloons because they're a little bit less scarier than the smoke, because helium balloons will rise just like smoke does. It's lighter than air.
Yeah.
And so that smoke, that fake smoke, the Halloween smoke, is heavier than air, so it tends to congregate in the area where you would normally want to be, where you would survive.
Lower,
so it's kind of the contrary message. We use that special smoke when we're training for different purposes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
For like a search. We usually don't use that to teach school children now. Balloons are much funner.
Balloons are a lot funner.
Yeah.
My kids would agree. So what are some of the highlights of your career? Because we haven't announced it yet, but somebody's retiring.
That's true. Yeah, my wife's very excited about that.
You put in a lot of years, so.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to getting back and doing chores again. So there's so many highlights. I keep in my phone just a record of some of the more dramatic things I've been on. I guess the purpose is to share with younger firefighters. Yeah. So stories of near misses and close calls. So I've had about 8 or 9 of those in my 28 or so years with Costa Mesa. It's important to share the message because in many cases it was preventable. In some cases it was because I didn't think through a problem as well as I might have.
Yeah.
But I think those are some of the memories I have. I would say the call that we all have, most firefighters have a call that's really memorable. I would say the one that sticks with me the most happened about 6 years ago. And it was late at night when a car had gone out of control and it crashed into a house. And it hit the bedroom where 2 small children lived. Well, it was an 8-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl. And this car came in probably 50 or 60 miles an hour right through their bedroom, diagonally, and then it partially exited the side wall. And the first thing it hit was the boy's bed, and he would have died, I'm pretty sure, except that he had gotten up to use the restroom. So that simple little miracle saved his life.
Yeah.
Well, the car continued on through the bedroom, and it hit the bed where an 11-year-old girl was sleeping, and it pushed her off her bed.
Okay. And
kind of like a giant bear or something, it basically took over the bed. Like you ever had a big dog that just this is my bed too? The car kind of did this to her bed. It pushed her off her bed, and then it kind of rolled over top of her, and she was trapped underneath the front bumper between her dresser, the bed, and then the car, which had kind of blasted its way out the other wall. So we got there and we recognized this is not like our usual rescue. So it took us about 25 minutes to stabilize everything, to clear out enough debris, to cut away walls, to brace up the roof, to get these lifting devices underneath the car and lift it up. And we were able to pull her out, and she only had cuts and bruises.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so she's probably 17 or so now. I'd love to find her and talk to her someday if I ever run into her. It'd be interesting to hear her perspective. But
Yeah.
it was such a rewarding call because it had such a great outcome. It was such a challenge for our whole team. It took about 14 or 15 firefighters working for about 25 minutes
Yeah.
to get her safely out, and then I think it had a good outcome. And so that's one of my proudest moments.
That's amazing. I mean, I literally got goosebumps when you were saying how fortunate she ended up being.
Well, the funny part is I wore a GoPro camera for this whole call.
Okay.
You know, I wear a GoPro every now and then, and do you know what usually happens? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's routine calls thing, and I'm wearing I'm like, why am I wearing this GoPro? And this one time I had the GoPro on, and something challenging and exciting happened, and so I captured the whole thing so I can relive the call, and we can use this actually as a training resource for future leaders, when they come in and decide what's our plan of action, how do we control this. And so it was just a neat experience, and I can actually watch it.
That is an amazing happy ending story. What happens to the driver?
I think that he had to talk to the police about something afterward.
Yeah. That's very, very traumatic for sure. But I'm so glad that the kids were okay. I can't even imagine as a parent like what that was like.
No, I couldn't either.
Yeah. So, well, that's a rewarding story. And then with you retiring, I know you're looking forward to new things. What are you going to miss the most
From out here?
from your
from
career?
Well, there's a kind of a hallowed space in every fire station, whether it's paid or volunteer, East Coast or West Coast, probably even throughout the world. And it's called the coffee table.
Oh.
That's where we all meet in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Various characters interact with each other. Different political views are discussed. Problems are solved. Maybe some complaining is done from time to time. Sorts of things happen there. It really is the character of any fire station, that time around the coffee table. That's when you really, in a lot of ways, become a family. That's one of the things that it enticed me or attracted me the most about this career was when I did that ride along many years ago, I remember seeing firefighters who were my father's age. Yeah. And seeing ones that were maybe 10 or 20 years older than me, and then seeing ones that were younger than me, and this diverse group of people, and they were diverse ethnically as well. Yeah. They all were a perfect team together, and the older members were respected for their wisdom and knowledge. The younger ones were contributing because of their youth and their energy. Yeah. And you combine this, and it makes a fully functioning team. And so I think I'm going to miss being part of something like that, because that has been a very rewarding thing. Yeah. And being able to contribute not just with my trumpet, like I got started, but I've been able to contribute with my other skills. Being an educator, that's my degree is in education. Yeah. So I've been able to teach a lot of things and try to help others be successful. Well, I think they can just zoom you in to do some education on the side when you feel like it. You might get bored. I don't think I'm going to get bored. Trust me. I guess you're going to have a lot of stuff to do back east. I have 8 acres of forest that I have to take care of now, and it's full of animals and trees and all kinds of things. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm so glad. It's so nice that you have been able to put in so much of your time into all of your talents that have really been formulated since a young age. The storytelling, the music, the magical fire truck experience. It's such a nice full circle. What would you say to anybody that might be thinking about having a career in the fire department? Well, it's obviously one of the most rewarding things that I've done. I think we're very selective, and there's a lot of individuals who would like this career. I think it's a noble profession. It's an honorable profession. So when I talk to young folks, I think there's 3 areas that I could say that we're looking for. Is we need people that are capable, they need to be competent, and they need to have character. The 3 C's. So, capable would be, you have to be physically strong, mentally strong. You have to be able to recover and deal with fatigue. You have to be able to deal with awful sights and smells and great tragedy.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, do your job for another emergency situation. So you have to be competent. You have to know your job. Do you know how to do CPR at 2:30 in the morning? Do you know how to rapidly pull the hose, get dressed, put on your breathing device, force a door, and go inside and do a rescue?
Yeah.
Do you know how to stop a leaky toilet? Do you know all these different skills and things that we have to be practiced on a daily basis? You have to be able to execute those things. And then finally, character is important because we can teach a lot of our skills to just about anyone, but you have to be someone who can fit as a member of a team and set aside maybe your personal prejudices. You have to be honest. You have to have integrity. You have to accept negative feedback. You have to be able to resolve differences and forgive and move on, because in our career, we are literally living with each other and our lives depend on our family. And so all those three things kind of come together and they make a competent firefighter. So someone who wants to look into this as a career, I would say look into those three areas. And if you think that you can do that, go to school, work out hard, do everything you can, talk to people. But it's a great profession, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah. Do they still offer like ride-alongs? Is that something that
Lots of places have them. They might be a different procedure here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know with our city, we have something called the Citizens Fire Academy. It's maybe a 6 to 8 week introductory of our profession, of how we do our job. And they cover everything from how fire engines work to the 911 system to all sorts of neat skills. And at the end, if you graduate, your reward is a short ride along with the fire department. You get to go on calls with us. It's pretty fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And so people need to look into the Citizens Academy. That sounds like a great opportunity too. So I just want to ask you one last question. This is kind of a fun one. Have you ever been called to save a cat from a tree?
One time.
You have? I should have known.
One time, yeah, it was a woman living in a park. It was kind of a sad story. All of her possessions were in a shopping cart, and she slept there from time to time. And she had an animal that was her best friend. And this cat had a leash because she didn't want it to get too far. And the cat climbed the tree, as cats often do.
Yeah.
And this one particular time, the leash got wrapped around a branch.
Oh, no.
So it literally could not come down when it got hungry. So when we got there was 4 of us. And I think we did some arithmetic. And it turns out I was the youngest person. So it was my privilege to climb the tree and get the cat down.
You were her hero.
So we got the cat down, yeah.
Firemen really are heroes. There's something special about that. I think that's why so many children look up to you. Everybody should look up to you, like for what you guys do to serve the community, to help people. If ever any of us had an emergency, we would be relying heavily on you. So thank you for all you've done to help Costa Mesa, and I'm sure other areas too, over the last 30 years. And Fred, I know the fire department is going to miss you, but we're very excited for your retirement.
I am too. So is my wife.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
You're very kind. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Great.